Hello everybody and welcome back to a brand new video, and this one is one that I'm very excited to bring to you all. You can see next to me here today we are going to be taking a look at the Eversolo DMP-A8 for their flagship DAC and streamer, and this unit is one that has absolutely torn up the market over the last 6 months, receiving rave reviews everywhere you look, and today we're going to be looking at some of the features that have made it such a massive success. So my first experience of Eversolo as a brand has actually been over the last couple of weeks. At first I was looking at the A6, which is the model down from the A8. This is, as I've mentioned, their flagship model, and I was so impressed with that I just could not wait to get my hands on this and see what all the fuss was about. Before we do get stuck into the nitty-gritty of the A8, if you do enjoy the video, make sure to click that like button down below and subscribe to the channel if this is your first time in these parts. Always love to hear your thoughts and feedback in the comment section down below. But yeah, I mean, the first thing that you'll notice, I think the first thing that anybody notices when they look at the A8 is that beautiful touch screen, the 6-inch screen on the front of the unit. Now, touch screen to me, it's something that it's not really super necessary. This comes alongside a fantastic Eversolo app, which is really intuitive, fantastic to use. And I don't think there's that many instances where you're going to be using the touch screen, but it is definitely that first thing that jumps out to you. You've got the beautiful album art on the front when you're playing your music. You have access to the EQ, all the settings through it as well, and it's super. You can see here if I click through a couple of things, it's super responsive as well. It's a really nice feature. Like I said, I don't think it's something you're going to be using too often when, again, you've got the app that's so intuitive, and it also comes with a remote control as well. But even so, no one can deny the sexiness of a wonderful, clear touchscreen on the front of an amplifier. It is absolutely beautiful. The other thing that I think draws a lot of people's attention when they not necessarily looking at the unit, but it's the price of the unit. This coming in at £1,899 at retail at the moment. So you're kind of looking around that name Unity price point, and I think because of the touch screen and because of the design of the unit itself, that is something that's going to draw a lot of comparisons. Obviously, things like the Unity Nova, Unity Star, the Unity range in general, they're all-in-one systems that are designed to be used on their own, whereas obviously you're going to need an amplifier to make this work in your system. But still, because of the design of it and what it brings to the table, I think naturally there will be a lot of comparisons, especially at that price point, just shy of £2,000. The other thing that jumps out about the A8 is the sheer amount of connectivity options that this comes with. You've got support from all the big hitting apps, your likes of Spotify Connect, Tidal Connect, Qobuz. Apple Music isn't supported directly, but you can do that via AirPlay and actually installing Apple Music onto the unit itself, which works absolutely beautifully. And on top of that, you've also got the MQA support. You've got Bluetooth 5.0. It really does tick all of the big boxes when it comes to streaming services. Not only do you have the fantastic connectivity in terms of wireless connections, in terms of Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, all that kind of stuff, you've also got a lot of options on the rear of the unit as well. You've got an Ethernet cable port built in. You've got HDMI ARC, which I know is a really popular one for a lot of people. You've got optical, and as well you've also got the XLR in and out on the back. So it really doesn't miss a trick in terms of ways to connect to the A8. There's nothing that I can think of that's missing here. One thing I do want to talk about a little bit more, actually, I've briefly mentioned it previously, is the Eversolo Connect app, which is absolutely sublime. I mentioned when I was talking about the touch screen on the unit how I think that the app is so good that I don't think you're going to find yourself really using the touch screen too often. I think when you're playing music, obviously for a lot of people you're doing that, adjusting the volume, changing tracks, doing all that on your phone. But the Eversolo Connect app, I mean, you see a lot of different manufacturers bring apps out, obviously. Some for specific speakers, some have apps that do the whole ranges, like your things like your Connect app, your Kef Connect app, the Name app, which you can connect a lot of units together through. But the Eversolo Connect app, I mean, it's easier said than done. Some of the manufacturers' apps can be a little bit janky, not the easiest to use, can be a little bit hit and miss. But the Eversolo Connect app is absolutely sublime. It gives you all the basic features that you'd expect in terms of, you know, adjusting volume, skipping tracks, showing the album art, all that kind of stuff, but because of the fantastic EQ that's built into this as well, it unlocks a whole new layer of customization. It's really easy to access and super cool to play around with as well. Another thing that I'm a really big fan of, not that this particularly brings anything to the sound of the unit, of course, but, well, it is the sound of the unit, is the noise when you adjust the volume. I'm hoping that the microphone is picking this up, but it makes this wonderful clicking noise when you're adjusting the volume, both manually using the unit itself and also when you're adjusting it on its phone. I can imagine that could be a love or hate feature, but for me, absolutely love it. So when we listened to the A8, we had it running in a system alongside its smaller brother, the F2 power amplifier, also from Eversolo, and we used the KEF LS50 Meta speakers, which we actually did a video on very recently. So if you're interested to see our thoughts a bit more on those, I'll leave a link to that video down in the description down below. But yeah, the KEF LS50 Meta speakers, the Eversolo F2 power amplifier, obviously the A8 itself, and then we went through the XLR input option using some chord signature XLR interconnects and then some QED revelation cable going from the actual speakers into the power amplifier. So really nice system, and the A8 absolutely blew me away. So the first thing to touch upon when it comes to the unit is that it's so clean and so pure. I think for a lot of people, when you're looking for a streamer, a DAC, an amplifier, one thing that you can sometimes be aiming for is just to make sure that the system is as clean and providing as little interference as possible. So that means that you can really bend the unit to your will a little bit more and tailor your system. You know, some people will often say to me, you know, it's hearing the music as it's designed to be listened to, and I think the A8 is absolutely fantastic in that regard. It's so clean, has no real sound impact on the system at all. It actually comes with a really nice low-level power supply as well, so when it's running itself, not hearing anything from it whatsoever. And I think it's one of those things where we didn't try it with another power amplifier, but I suspect if you did, you're going to be noticing the niches, the little changes when you're swapping things around. So if you wanted to get a bit more warmth out of it, you could pair it up with something a little bit warmer. If you wanted to make it brighter, you could do that, and that is always the sign of a fantastic piece of kit, in my opinion. Just the fact that it allows you to really tailor the experience to how you want it to be, even more so with the EQ, which we're going to discuss a bit more in a second. But then also, it's just so nice to use. When it comes to the EQ that I've mentioned a couple of times now, I think the level of customization that the A8 offers is beyond anything that I've used before. As I've said, you know, you can use the app or you can actually use the touchscreen itself to adjust all the settings. And what's really nice as well is not only have you got everything to play with that you could possibly want within the EQ, you've also got the ability to save different presets as well. So if you wanted, for example, a preset for a certain set of speakers, so for example, we used it again with the KEF, so we could have a KEF preset, you could save that and then have a Wharfdale preset, you could save that and then have a Focal preset, and then obviously, no matter what speakers you're connecting to, you can just, you know, chop and change between those. And again, I've known people in the past that have done a similar kind of thing with genres of music, so you could have a rock EQ setup ready to go, you could have a hip hop EQ setup ready to go, a dance, you know, classical, jazz, and that means it just, again, although it's really clean, and I mean, I'm not someone that likes to mess around with the EQ too much, to be completely honest with you, but I think if you're someone that really adores that, it just opens up so many possibilities to have, you know, sometimes people might have 3 or 4 different, you know, amplifiers or what have you to kind of suit different genres of music if you're lucky enough to be in a position to do so. But this kind of gives you all those options in one unit, which is absolutely sublime. When you consider this is coming on the market around the 1899 price point as well at the moment, I think when you're partnering this up with a power amplifier, you're probably going to be looking around that 2.5K price point. And I've already mentioned the name Unity range, which is something I think this is going to be compared to a lot in this video. And I love the name Unity range. I think it's fantastic. It's a beautiful, well-built unit. It's got everything you could want really, and it's really user-friendly as well. So there are a lot of similarities. And at a similar kind of price point, that does all of these features as well, and a little bit more. Obviously the downside being that that's going to be a two box solution, whereas the Unity range is a 1-box solution. But I think it's an absolutely steal at 1899, and I think with everything that it gives you, I think I've already said it before, there's not a lot of other units at that price point that give you the same options that this does. Again, with the A8 now being on the market for a few months, I'm sure a lot of people have managed to get their hands on it, and I'd love to know, if you're one of those people, your thoughts in the comment section down below. I'd also be super intrigued to know what you've partnered this up with in terms of the amplifier that you used alongside it and speakers as well, and if you had just as good as an experience as I did. But thank you again for tuning in, and if you did enjoy, again, it'd be fantastic if you leave a thumbs up on the video, subscribe if you're new, and we'll catch you all next time. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.